Today, French warplanes joined the war against the Islamic State, this time in Iraq. President Obama got a unanimous vote from the UN Security Council yesterday on measures to restrict movements of foreign fighters trying to join the Islamic State, but the United States Congress continues to refuse to vote on any aspect of the war that the United States is now leading. Joining me now is Congressman Adam Schiff, a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman Schiff, do you believe that the president already has legal authority for what's going on there now?
No, I don't. I think it's very important that Congress take up the issue and pass an authorization to allow the use of military force in Iraq and in Syria. The administration is relying on the two old authorizations that we passed in 2001 and 2002, which really don't apply here. The first authorized the use of force against al-Qaeda and its affiliates. Well, this ISIL is now at war with al-Qaeda. It's been excommunicated from al-Qaeda, and so it doesn't fit within the 2001 AMF. It certainly doesn't fit within the circumstances of the 2002 AMF, which was directed against the Saddam Hussein regime. So I think it's vitally important, and I think our failure to vote so far is an abdication of Congress' responsibility under the Constitution.
I just want to go over, for the audience's benefit, what you just cited. That first one, the first resolution they're leaning on, which is from 2001, September 18th, is for the people who planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11th. We already had that war. These are not those people. The other one was the resolution for a war against Iraq. That's the language in here, against Iraq. That's the actual language of the resolution. This is not a war against Iraq. And so I personally completely agree with you. I want to read the elements of the resolution you would like to introduce, that you would like both bodies to vote on. It says that the president is authorized to use the U.S. forces of the United States against the Islamic State. The authority granted shall be confined geographically to Iraq and Syria. It says there is no authorization for use of ground forces in combat. And it says this authority shall be granted for a period of 18 months, starting from the time that both bodies vote on this resolution. What about the limitation of time to 18 months. That is, the president has said that this war that we're in, yesterday he used the phrase that it could be as long as 10 years.
Well, it may be as long as 10 years. I certainly hope it won't, but that doesn't mean that Congress needs to authorize it for the indefinite future. We made that mistake in 2001 and 2002 in passing authorizations of unlimited duration, and now we see the problem with that has been their use even 13 years thereafter. So I think it's very important to require the executive to come back to Congress periodically, and a year and a half doesn't seem to me an unreasonable period of time to see how this war is progressing. And if the president wants new authority, if the president finds there are circumstances requiring, for example, as we've been debating about whether will necessitate ever having any kind of ground component spotters, for example, then the president can come to Congress and make that request. The other significant thing about that draft, Lawrence, is that it also sunsets the 2002 authorization immediately and the 2001 authorization in the same 18 months. And I think actually the ideal would be when we come back into the lame duck session, taking up an authorization, not exactly like the one I introduced that I had hoped we would have taken up 2 weeks ago, but rather one that immediately repeals the old authorizations, both of them, and puts into effect a narrow new authorization pertaining to both al-Qaeda and ISIL. That would be, I think, the cleanest thing to do and the best from a constitutional point of view. And
you would think politicians who claim to believe in limited government on the other side of the aisle from you would be interested in limiting that particular authority. But John Boehner, Speaker of the House, said today, I think the House and the Congress itself should speak, but doing this with a whole group of members on their way out the door, I don't think that is the right way to handle this. So Congressman Schiff, he seems to be saying we shouldn't do this until next year. We should keep having a war for months over there against the Islamic State, but Congress, with the power to declare war and legally sanction war, should have nothing to say about it until next year.
Well, and of course, the irony here is this is the same speaker who's suing the president, claiming the president is exercising too much executive authority. But on one of the most significant issues there is, that of war and peace, the Speaker is content to say, let the President do what he's going to do, and we'll take this up next year. That is staggering to me, and it not only, I think, enormously affects this war and whether the public is fully bought in, but it also affects what future presidents will consider their power to go to war without Congress, and that's very disturbing.
Congressman Adam Schiff of California, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
You bet.